I have no idea.
Sounds good. Like I say, I just want, you know, I pay my rent. I want to be able to use the space according to my timeline and not his. But I understand that if there's a problem, that's not desirable, and we need to try to figure out why that problem's occurring and see if we can fix that. Hey Fearless Mods fans, what is up? It's Biff, and you're back in the Fearless Mods garage. Once again, we are working on the 2005 Nissan Titan LE Crew Cab, and last week we put an entire new paint job on this truck and made it look fantastic. It's got some work to do, but that's not happening in this episode. This time around, we are going to be working on all the little trim pieces, getting everything else painted that needs to be slapped on here. But that starts with us putting the bed back on the truck so that we can put wheels on and get it out of here to make enough room to do that. Okay, and getting this bed moved back forward, the most important thing is everything is nice now and we don't want to mess that up. So I'm going to wrap a blanket around here because I'm working in here by myself. I will get it tied into the doors so that it protects the back of the cab and the front of the bed, so that we can bring this thing up and forward and get it set into position without doing any damage. Before we put the bed up there, and we do have it all hoisted up and lifted up and pulled back a little bit further, I wanted to take the opportunity to get in there and get the rest of all this rust up underneath here. So I've put rust treater on the aft sections of the frame, and we will let that dry and put a second coat on it. And then we will be ready to hit it with some of our black satin enamel. And the frame should be good to go, and then we can set the bed down. Okay, I have been rust inhibiting like no tomorrow, going through cans of that stuff all back there, wire brushing all the chunks of rust off, getting that trailer hitch tow package, which was the worst of it, all scrubbed off and ready to go. So while that's drying, before we can paint, yes, I'm shaking up a paint can, but the next thing I need to do is start getting all of these guys ready for their color transformation, and that's going to take a lot of delicate sanding because there's a lot of these. So while that's drying, I'm just going to sit here and do some sanding and breathe through my mask because it's potent in here. All right, we are really close. I've got the fuel vent and the fuel filler neck reattached. I've got to come down and forward, down about 1.25 inches and forward about 3. And we'll be there. I've got my pads reconfigured because really I'm trying to kick this thing down. It's trying to hang heavy in the back, and I'm trying not to gouge everything with these forward edges that come forward. But if I can drop it down in there, it should fit like a glove. So fingers crossed. We've got the bed dropped on. It's nice and even. All we got to do is tighten the 4 bolts. We've got that guy right there in the darkness. And then this guy right here. And then same stuff on the other side. You can see we did finish our rust treatment and painting at the back. Some of the stuff was a little worse shape than others, but we got off all the loose paint we could. Got the rust protector on there and then coated all of that down. So it is much better than it was. And the part that had no rust looks fantastic. Everything else that did doesn't look great, but at least it's protected and coated. That is the bed. Let me go ahead and get this all disconnected and we can start getting the wheels on it and think about getting this thing out of here. All of the lettering has been taken care of with the exception of the front bumper. I still got to get this one off and get it sanded, but all of this over here and over here. I know it's a mess, but it's all there. And so, oh yeah, and last thing are pieces of door trim that definitely need to be recoated. You can't have trim that looks like that next to stuff that looks like this. So this will all be sanded and recoated to match. A little bit of the third brake light here where it used to be black and it's gone, as well as everything black on these mirrors. So a couple things we'll do. We'll start trying to pull this apart. We'll pull that emblem off and we will get to sanding all of it. These are the 4 tabs you're trying to get in there, and they're impossible to get between the mirrors. Try to pry that one forward. We did so successfully without breaking it. This one we got without breaking it, miraculously, because I didn't even pry on it. This one we broke 1 tab off, and this one we broke completely off. So maybe some JB Weld, but that's some old brittle plastic. We do have the inner structure off. It's so brittle, I don't want to risk breaking these, and these are going to get painted as well. But there's the whole part that's going to get painted. I am not going to pull the mirrors because I don't want to break them. So my plan is to just tape this off and paint the outer lip and the outside covering of this. Okay, it is an ever-living mess in here, but we are coming along. We've got the pieces of the mirrors all sanded and set aside. I'll probably scuff those a little bit heavier right in here with some 100 grit on the orbital if I can get in there without chewing up all the plastic. Got the grill ready to go. We do need to sand this still. We got our couple of pieces that go over the back edge of the cab. Those plastic pieces of trim, we need to get those sanded up. But off camera, I did do all of the windowsill trim. That was fun, not at all. And that's because it was very similar to the wrap that was on the center door pillars there, the B pillars. Even worse though, I was able to take most of it off with the razor blade and then hit it with the 100 grit. So we will pretty much just use primer to fill that, and then before we coat it, it should be good to go. Let's go ahead and get done with the last of the sanding so we can get ready to maybe spray some black tonight. Okay, so like a scene out of my favorite Austin Powers movie, I got the truck out of here, but it was like that scene times about 10. Probably took me a good 30 straight minutes of going back and forth trying to get the front end around far enough with all the junk in here, moving it each time to creep it over, no mirrors, getting out and checking everything, and then finally getting the thing backed out. So it is out. We've got our paint area set up again. We got tables for grills, letters, mirrors, trim. Now we got to get to doing a little bit of wax and grease remover on them to kind of get them cleaned up, get some of the dust under control, and start putting some sticky stuff on the letters, because I want to do that while I can trim them with the razor blade before they're painted, as opposed to after it, where I would be nicking some of the black off potentially. So, all right, no time to waste. Let's get to it. Okay, so let me get you caught up with where we are, because there's just been a lot going on. We've got another paint booth set up. We've got the truck turned sideways. It is covered. We have part of the walls up for the paint booth. We have all of our sanded items that are going to be black laid out and ready to paint, including the mirrors hanging. Now it is time to just get all of this wax and grease removed, hit it with a tack cloth, start mixing some paint, and then spraying some black. Okay, so base coat is down for the black. Noticing a couple things. Overall, just fine. No need to panic. Secondary, 2005 Nissan. We're not trying to make this a show quality car. We're just trying to make her look better than Mako. Love how the black lettering is turning out. The grille emblem, again, everything looks fine up here. The door sill rails are all going to look good. All of our plastics here for the mirrors themselves actually look good. Didn't do an extremely perfect job on trying to get everything cleaned off of here, but you know what, good enough. One thing I do have that I want to point out to you is one paint reaction, and we're not going to worry about it because it's going to look better than it was before. So that's just the way it goes. So with that decision made, we are gun cleaned and ready to mix some clear and start putting down some clouds in here. The clear coat is down and it looks fantastic. I think I really did get it dialed in this time. I brought the air pressure down a little bit and it just went on flawlessly. So lots of trash in it because I wasn't as concerned about it with this job. Got the truck covered, that's the main concern. Did cover up a few things, but I mean, it's dusty in here. I've been doing a lot of work and it's just flipping up off of the plastic. I'm gonna let this stuff dry off while it fumigates in here. And we'll catch up with you whenever this stuff's ready to be untaped. Okay, so we got all the black pieces put away and we have reconfigured with all of the stuff that needs to be silver. The grille, the side strips, this rear piece is gonna go silver, the caps for the mirrors, fuel filler, and the storage compartment, as well as the latch, all the door handles and some headlight surround pieces, and of course, those parts of the bumper and the major piece of the front bumper itself. So we need to start getting to work on this stuff. That includes a lot of sanding, and then we will be ready to start laying down some primer and working this chrome bumper. It for the sanding. We've got the bumper ready, we've got the grill ready, we already had the sides. Do gotta do a little bit, gotta pull some PPF off of that rear hatch and get that sanded down, but all the handles are sanded, the mirrors, everything's sanded, just a couple of more detail things. And then this one is good, but we'll be putting just a little bit of filler in a couple things here. This one where we had the gouges from the side swiper, and then this guy here where the adhesive removal wheel, you can see it when I rub it, it likes to remove plastic too. Who would have known? So we'll put a little bit of filler in that just to smooth it out, and then sand these down, and everything will pretty much at that point be ready to paint that front bumper. So we are covering chrome. The way we went about it is we used 100 grit sandpaper to sand it all down, the area that we want to paint, and get it all good and scuffed in, and we will clean it up real good. We won't use any adhesion promoter because it's metal. The epoxy primer that we're using is a direct to metal DTM primer, so it will adhere to this. We'll get a couple coats on it and let it set for 24 hours, and then we'll sand it again before we actually put the silver on that. I did just find a patch of rust here when we took the PPF off here. We'll sand this, but on the back side of this door there was just some rust right here beneath that PPF. We'll wire wheeled it to knock off the loose stuff and then put some rust neutralizer on there, and we will let that set up. All right, we've blown the dust out. We got the door open, just kind of trying to let it air out and settle it a little bit. Again, not going for perfection on here. These are the small parts, but we would like them to look good without too much trash. So we'll try to let the dust settle. Okay, game plan. Everything is one pass on wax and grease. Obviously I'm touching with my hand, so it'll be getting another pass. Everything is propped where I want it so that I can paint it, pick it up, move it, shoot around it, what have you, with the exception of these door handles. Once I close the booth, I'm gonna string that baling wire back across there where we did the mirrors and hang those from there so that I can shoot all around the edges and stuff and make sure I get good coverage on these handles. Everything else is propped and ready to go, elevated so I can get kind of the edges of it if necessary. And the first thing we're going to do is go after this bumper with the epoxy primer and get a couple of coats on that, because that's going to be drying for at least 24 hours before we are ready to put silver on it. Everything else is plastic and is going to get adhesion promoter. And then it'll be ready for silver and clear. Got to check my clock, see if it's doable. Going to have to get permission from the wife for either a late dinner or go eat dinner and then come back and hit it. So let me see what she says, and then we'll get everything set up and get moving. Okay, so that's 2 coats of the epoxy direct-to-metal primer. That stuff goes down thick. I can understand now why the advice was to give it a day to dry and then sand it. However, there's one more thing we can do, and we're going to do next to try to help it a little bit, and that is for this 3rd coat, we are going to add 10% of the zero lock reducer on top of the catalyst and the epoxy primer. And that should give us maybe a little bit smoother of a coat, but I gotta be careful we don't get any runs. It's like putting down bed liner, like rhino liner or something. Okay, so it is the next morning and we're coming in here to get our first looks, and everything looks really good. The gloss went down nice and chilly outside, but I kept it warmed up in here overnight. Everything looks good. There are some runs on some areas, but the clear coat went down nice. A lot of trash. It's been too many subsequent times of repeating and trying to do another batch of sanding and painting in here without a good thorough clean like we had at the beginning. So there's a lot of trash in it, but these are the small parts, so I'm not overly concerned. And we're about to be doing something to this that's going to take care of that for the whole truck anyways, for the most part, and that's going to be some cutting and polishing. So once we get all this stuff situated, it's going to be time to start putting things together and getting this thing corrected to final form. One last thing to paint, and that's this bumper, which has the epoxy primer on it right now. That dried up actually a lot smoother than I would have thought. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of this stuff untaped, and we're going to take a closer look and see what we have. And there you go, guys, all the drama you could want in a YouTube video. We have complaints about fumes as we paint in the garage from other businesses, but in the end, we got everything silver that needs to be silver and black that needs to be black, with the exception of that front bumper, which I will take care of before we're done. But the next step is going to be correcting this paint, getting it cut and polished, so that we can start sticking all this stuff on there and wrap up this job. But to be able to see that, you need to click like and subscribe down there. Click the bell so you get your notifications, and come on back and keep watching us, because we will catch you again in the next one. Take care.